Welcome to the Struggle Bus of the Spot Show, the home of the e-commerce and early news. I am your host, Vinny O'Brien, or as my friends love to call me, Hey You in the Bushes. As an aged journeyman in e-com, I wanted to create a Struggle Bus journey to help bring empathy to the world of e-com because it is a tough dog eat anything world out there. With me today is a friend and colleague, director in R&W Commerce, Mr. Nick Kaplan. Nick is, as you can see, if you're getting this on video, is based out of New York. It's early in the morning. He's not caffeinated yet and has to have a root canal. Nick, how you doing?
I'm caffeinating.
Oof.
I'm always good. I
Are
don't
you a
think
tea?
people I don't think people ever look at me and they're like, wow, but I'm like in the inside.
You're glowing today. I think it's this whole new regime that you're under. But there's something else about you as well that I've always pondered, and it's kind of my first opening gambit to you. We deal a lot in heart and head. Today, you look like you're dealing in heart. How does that manifest for you on a daily basis?
It's a good question. I would love to be balanced and try to be able to do both, but I'm really a head person. Um, Always thinking, maybe sometimes even much too thinking, but I'm a head person who then lets the heart catch up and it always factors in eventually.
The first time I noticed that about you was walking the floor at NRF in 2024,
Oh, that was
and
so much fun.
but you were perplexed. You were constantly in this state of, I think it was head and heart trying to get there. And what brought you to heart every time is when you talk about your kids. And I don't want to talk too much about your family, other than to go backwards. So you're a merchandiser at your core as well. Where did that all start?
So yeah, I think it's one of the things that makes me unique is I sort of grew up like on one side and then I
Uh-huh.
made this kind of weird jump inadvertently to the other side and then kind of came back again. So I grew up, I mean a lot of people don't know this about me. So both my grandmother, my great grandmother were women who started or took over businesses that were out of necessity. So my great grandmother is Lane Bryant, like retail sort of
Yeah.
legend, and had a baby and was a widow and had a pair of diamond earrings from her marriage and pawned them for a sewing machine and like
Oh my God.
built Lane Bryant. My other
Mhm.
grandmother was a teacher, 4 kids, New York, and a high rolling husband at the age of 48 that dropped dead. Took over his dress business, and with my uncle, who just graduated from business school at like 21 years old, super smart, built into something super big. So I always had this kind of entrepreneurial spirit, and I'm like, what am I going to do? And so it was kind of like, oh, sales and trading at Merrill Lynch or Saks Fifth Avenue training program. And my grandmother, who I was super close to, said you should go to
Mhm.
Saks. So I did. So I spent my formative years getting lucky, being in the right place at the
Mhm.
right time, working super hard. My favorite job to this day is still the department manager of women's coats. My first job at Saks. I was a
Nice.
trader.
What
Everyone,
was that first morning like?
what's that?
That first morning of walking into Saks, what was that like?
So I was hired for the training program, but at like an odd time. And so, meaning like I was hired a few months before it started because one had sort of already filled up because I had been late. So I
Hmm.
became an intern begrudgingly, but I walked in as an intern, sort of not sure, feeling on the one hand a little bit marginalized as an intern, but on the other
Hmm.
hand, excited. And I wound up actually never going into the training program formally. Um, and it was awesome. I loved it. I loved it. But it was like anything new, exciting, but for me a little bit nerve-wracking.
And was it the work or the people around you that all of a sudden became this kind of visceral sounding experience?
Um, I love being in it. Like I love the art of the transaction, the intoxicating moments
Yeah.
of commerce, right? And I think that there's a natural, even more so today, I make a lot of references to like some of the products that we're able to use to like be at a cockpit of a fighter jet and in a
Hmm.
game on some level. So
Very topical.
I loved managing people. I loved being in it. For 1 year, swear to God, for 1 year I worked 7 days a week, every
Oh
day.
my
I
God.
never missed a day for a year. I was young. I was like 22, but
What was drive? Like, was that some sort of inner drive
competition.
or competition? What were you on commission?
No, no, I didn't get
What
anything
were
for
you
it.
competing for?
I've always believed like setting a high mark. So I wanted to be the best. And what happened was, and I may not look it, I'm a little old.
No comment.
There was a crazy winter where like 17 snowstorms. It was like
Oh my
insane.
God.
And so what happened in those days, and I imagine it's probably still the same, and it's still like kind of like the way. It's like you take a markdown, you take a
Mm,
second markdown, and then you would take a third markdown, and your product would go to sell off, like you just send it
yeah.
away. But I was like, wait. And I remember the first sort of conversation with my mentor there, this guy named Bill Lynch, and saying to him, like, why are we marking coats down on Columbus Day? It was like October, right?
Okay.
Um, and so he's like, well, you're only as strong as your weakest link, like a bicycle chain. So if Bloomingdale's or Macy's or
Uh,
Nordstrom's breaks price, like everyone has to break price because you'll just go where it's cheapest. So the winter came, and rather than sending my coats to sell off, I just kept them. And then I kept calling all the stores. I'm like, transfer me your coats, because they wanted the space.
okay.
And then I was like fighting for floor space. The buyers hated me, but to this day, I had a $2 million sale. I had a $2 million sales plan, and I
My
did
God.
$3 million of sales. And like, I still one of my proudest moments. But
Wow.
yeah, I just wanted to be the best, and I wanted also for political purposes to be able, and
Uh-huh.
I was able to trade on that reputation going forward. I was a little bit, I'm sure this will surprise you, a little bit polarizing.
You said a few things already that I just wanted to jump on. Like you begrudgingly do everything. You're polarizing. You smile all the time, though. You're this conundrum of things, which I think is interesting. But can I ask you, the environment that you describe and the environment that we work in e-commerce, we cannot recreate that same retail format in e-com, and it feels like for 20 years we've wrestled with trying to embed experiences together that fundamentally are opposing forces, and we're still doing the same thing. How can they coexist better, knowing that e-commerce is not going away? Because they're like
Um,
two.
yeah. So, I mean, yes, the answer is like, or no, rather. We can't recreate that, but that's okay. I think that what we were doing then and what we were doing now is solving problems. So, I was always amazed, and I can move on to the rest of my career later, but this is definitely a fun part of it. When it rained, we would sell raincoats. And when it didn't rain, we
Yeah.
wouldn't sell raincoats. Like, it was
Uh-huh.
crazy. Like, literally, it could rain one day and we'd sell like 18 or 20 coats, and the next day it wouldn't rain and we'd sell like two.
Okay.
We solved a problem. Like, someone's like, "Oh, I need a raincoat. I'm going to go to Saks. I'm going to get a raincoat." So we
Hmm.
help them find a raincoat, and the colors, prices, styles. It's the same thing now. The arena has changed. People need things, and we help them find them and buy them. And instead of being in a store, we now are trying to provide them with the information they need to be able to trust in us and the decision they're making, that it's right. And if it's not, that they can trust that they can write it, by returning it. So I'd say that like we're putting way too much then and now emphasis on, we have to be able to recreate the store experience. And I still believe in stores. I really love them. I think that they're really important. And I would advocate that people, you know, have them if they can afford them, if it's part of their
Hmm.
model, or get into the wholesale distribution for that ability. But like, I don't think we're asking the right question for saying, how can I recreate this? It's more, how can I solve a problem, and what's the experience that I need to be able to do
When you talk about experiential commerce, though, or retail, you talk about it in a way that I think is fundamental that other people don't, and you talk about making sure it's in stock or letting me get visibility and where I can put it back. You know, give me signals or way signs that I can get around the store, and be that online or in the physical world. And I think that comes down to your background a little bit. How much of the e-commerce world then has been kind of made much less rich because of poor marketing, and I mean technology companies predominantly. They've really got it wrong, because what you describe is something that was taught to me very early, which is if it's raining, bring the umbrellas to the front of the shop. Like a really simple concept, but here we are 20 years later still teaching people that this is something that needs to be taught. How have we got it so far wrong, or allowed it to? I mean, it must be frustrating for someone like you to sit there and think about that.
Next time you're here in New York,
Yeah.
you walk around the streets and it's not raining. Look at how many people you see out there like hawking umbrellas. And
Uh-huh.
then when it rains, they're just like everywhere. It's like, where do they come from? And where's all this inventory being kept? I mean, literally, it's like they're all sitting in a warehouse somewhere. It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's frustrating, I think, to see obvious things that are not either done right or adopted, or I think that's not always the best technology that wins. I say that to clients a lot, because Rick and I, um, we do kind of a couple different things, and like one of
Yeah.
them is trying to help people on that level with more just like, wait, how do we continue to evolve our strategy, and what is the problem we're solving? And in a world where we see consolidation, like there's no more email service provider, right? Like it's so
Yeah.
far expanded into like email service provider, personalization, CDP, SMS. It's like so many different things, and it continues to
Mhm.
consolidate. So I don't know that I'm answering your question specifically, but I think that we overthink everything. I mean, literally everything. And so we need to market to that mentality.
Mhm. And then, as a strategist, you mentioned Bill Lynch earlier in the call. You had a mentor. How important is a mentor for people in the industry right now, or should everybody have one?
So I've had a couple and at all the wrong times. Like really early in my career and really
Yeah.
late in my career. I think when I most needed one, I didn't have one. I think
But was
it's,
it, can I pause
yeah.
you there, because having been at the wrong time is not always something we can control, but we then learn stuff from them, so that when they're not there, we have to stand on our own 2 feet and think for ourselves. So maybe somewhere in the middle, that allowed Nick Kaplan to spread his wings and to grow and to feel empowered to make these decisions by yourself. Is that accurate?
Um, yes, but what I would take sort of from a qualifying perspective is like, what is a
Mm-hmm.
mentor, right? A mentor is
Okay.
two things. A mentor is a teacher, but a mentor is sort of a guardrail.
Mm.
Um, the mentor says, "Hey, there's maybe a better way," but the guardrail is like just the trusted. So Emmett Shine, who we both know, like
Uh-huh.
whom I would consider, there's a lot, I don't know how and why, and like why me, but there's a lot of people I feel like I mentor. Like I'd say
Mm-hmm.
he's one, right? We have like,
Okay.
but I learned so much from him, and it's a wonderful relationship. But he has referred to me as a professional dad, like
What a
you know,
title.
but
It's amazing.
it's like funny, but when people say to me like, "What do you do?" Because I work with often founder-led businesses,
Mm.
right? Because when founders get to like that point where it's like, okay, I have founded a business and I've now reached this inflection point where I'm sort of it's slowing down. Like
Yeah.
it's no longer enough. And so the mentor, the professional dad comes in and can say, "Hey, person, like you need to prioritize. You need to think about what kind of asymmetric bets you're going to make to get
Yeah.
ahead, what kind of capital you need. So a mentor helps you think through that. And the mentor has that trust and that relationship with you. I remember one day when Bill got so angry at me, yelling at me, and I needed it. I mean, I was a really like brash young person, not short of
You?
confident. I know, right? It's like the very humble me. But seriously, he's like, and I never forgot. It was the first time I ever heard perception is reality.
Yeah.
Like I needed to hear that from someone, but someone that I could hear that from. So your
Yes.
mentor is that person that can be like, hey, let's talk about this. What are you thinking? And you can hear yourself talk and they can say, well, maybe it's not left, it's right. And why is it right? Because when I made that huge mistake and I went left and like blew up
Yeah.
my business, you don't have to do that. You can go right. And then your mentor and like the founders or the CEOs that I work with, they can come to me and be like, you're going to tell me I need to get rid of this person. And I don't know that I can. And so
There's something really recognizable though, and so the few people that I've spoken to that I know that you mentor, and their use of language is really deliberate. And from spending time with you, it's something I think you study and have a real appreciation for. And the one that springs to mind, I stole it a lot this week. I listened to Suze Dowling. I've spoken to her a few times. I know you work with Suze,
the
but she used
best, the
this
best.
word about compounding effects. And in my head, that was you speaking through Suze, right?
That is not one of my expressions. Suze is super smart. I have so many expressions though. Like someone at Pattern, and I've worked at Pattern for a while, which is where it's where I got my kind of
Yeah,
consulting start. Um, and I'm still there, and I love them, and it's where I met Emmett, it's where I met Suze, and
yeah.
but there was a kid there who's no longer there who kept like a it's called the we've talked about this before, but the Kaplan Bible. And like
Yeah.
my kids make so much fun of me, but no, that's not my expression. Um,
But it sounds like your thought process.
I love like if I could be wealthy from
Uh-huh.
teaching, I would be. I love to teach people and learn and like I find myself oftentimes I think it's why I talk a lot because I always feel like I have to get the point across and not because I want to be heard, but because I feel so emphatic, so passionate about like teaching my poor children. But um but yeah, I mean, you ask my kids and I've said this before, I think you've heard me say it, but
Mm.
you put my kids in two different rooms, you walk in and you say, "Hey, Phoebe, Stella, what are the two most important things in life?" They will both say to you immediately, listening and thinking. Like that's where it starts as a mentor. It's like you listen to someone, you think about what they say, and then you respond. Because if I had to distill
Hmm.
years and years and years and years of therapy down to one word,
Hmm.
pause and think and respond. Versus we as
Well,
an industry, we as people, we react to everything because there is no opportunity to respond. Like what has happened is technology has created an arms race. And it's unclear to me like what wins in the end, right? Like brand, trust, commodity, price. Chanel's never going to die. Like you're always going to want that Chanel on your handbag or your butt or your cosmetics because it's
yeah.
like symbol of like your status in society. But when you get outside of that,
So for those reasons, I don't think a modern brand can exist the way legacy brands did, and it's a conversation for another day. But
right? I feel like I'm
again,
all over the place today. Sorry.
no,
You got me going.
it's amazing. There's a couple of things, like there's lots of things I love about you and hanging with you, Nick, and spending time with you. One is that you're so unabashed about loving being a teacher. A lot of people adopt the role but don't want the responsibility of saying it verbally that this is what I want to do and where I want to be and spend time. And even more so now where information is commoditized in this post-truth world where we're really not ready to listen. You also brought me back. I remember my dad when I was going out working for eBay. I was going out to warehouses for the first time, and I was over with like JD Sports and Argos and these huge UK retailers. And he said, have a look around the warehouse before you do anything. You're going to know what kind of culture exists in that organization before you do anything. And I ended up working for about 4 days in the JD Sports warehouse to figure out what the hell was going on. And I learned so much during that phase. I promise you before the call, we get to 18 to 20 minutes to try and keep this on
Yeah,
par with
well,
all the other Struggle Bus conversations.
yeah,
Big question coming at you.
okay.
If your career was a song right now, what song is it going to be?
Uh, I, I I
This
mean,
goes on your
again,
permanent record.
I guess, I mean, I wish I could be super witty, but life is a highway.
Life is a highway. That's going on the list. What? Give us a couple of sentences as to why.
And
Symbolic.
you're just moving. Like it doesn't, if you get off, like I like one of my expressions is stagnation equals death. So life is a
Oof.
highway. You're on it. Like enjoy the journey. Do the best you can. Don't stop.
And in describing this to you, I never really told you what the struggle bus about what it's about, but it's about trying to create empathy in a positive way, so we recognize a little bit of ourselves along the way. And I think when people hear that song and hear what you have to say, they're really going to empathize, particularly those people who've been hanging around their industry for a while, looking for a better way to do things. And if they want to, I think they should pick up the phone and speak with you. They're going to feel better about themselves.
Always here. By the way, I don't even like that song, but it just came like it's a good title.
It's a good title. Wow, so cerebral and deep
I mean,
thinking as
I
ever.
now I'm gonna have that song. Life is a highway. I'm gonna have it in my head all day long now. All
Well,
day
all
long.
I have in my head right now is "Free Fallin'" by Tom Petty.
Is that yours?
Oh no, mine is "Hard Knock Life," the Jay Z
Ah,
version,
I love
not the
that
Annie
version.
version.
I'm with you. It's a great
It's
song.
yeah, it's reflective, but there's a dog biting my hand as I speak to you right now, so maybe that's what's driving it. But Nick, look, I've taken a lot of your time. I've really enjoyed learning a little bit about the
Well,
journey.
thank you for having, that's the
Um,
beginning of the journey. It was a long journey, but thank you for having me.
no, look, it shapes you, and to talk to you is to listen to living proof of everything that you said. I love listening to you. I want to see more of your Kaplan's Corner. I want to see more of you on LinkedIn,
And
sharing these little nuggets.
you're my biggest fan. Like my biggest, like you're my biggest like advocate too. It's like do it. You're like you
Yeah,
are definitely like just like do it. I'm just
I have
like
a
you should
LinkedIn
listen
group
to
for
Vinny.
all your fans, and it's just me. It's great.
I have found I'm better at giving advice than taking in life, which is my teaching thing. I'll leave you with that. So,
Amazing. On that note, I'm going to let you get your Friday going. Thanks so much,
all
my
right,
friend.
thanks, man.
See you, dude.
Ciao.